Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to Wood with Handles, a baseball podcast for fans, by fans. This is episode 16 for the week of July 29th. I'm Ryan.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Johnny.
As usual, before we get started, guys, wherever you're listening to this, make sure you subscribe to us, like us, leave feedback, rate us, whatever it takes. It's been working the past few weeks. We've had a few more listeners than we normally do. So, just keep doing what you're doing. Share it with your friends if you like what we do, and it'll help us continue to get better and get more listeners. Before we get started, Ryan, do you have something to admit about your newfound love for the Yankees?
Oh, yeah, I said, I kind of like this team this year. I'm not so much in the hate boat anymore. Josh got all over me for it earlier this week, but I kind of like this Yankees team this year. I'm not saying that I'm probably going to go back to hating them next year, but right now, I mean, I don't know if it's maybe all the sentiment going around with Mariano Rivera, but I kind of like these guys this year. They're gritty.
Yeah, you're not allowed to like the Yankees. I know Johnny likes the Yankees, but the Yankees, that's part of being a baseball fan. You just have to hate the Yankees.
I'm okay with the Yankees. It's kind of interesting this year. In the last couple of years, the Yankees really haven't spent a lot of money. I think since Steinbrenner died, I just think the money is in control of more people's hands, and they're a little reluctant to throw away $200 million on a Giambi. So they're kind of coming back to the field when it comes to spending.
Yeah, I kind of like I said, I think that's a lot of what it is. I kind of like these replacement Yankees. It makes me feel a little bit better about them than in past years.
Well, talking about the Yankees, the big news this week is really no news at all. Alex Rodriguez, apparently, rumor has it, could be banned for the rest of this season, or it could be banned forever. Have a lifetime ban coming out of baseball. A lot of rumors. What do you guys feel about this?
This broke earlier in the week. To be honest, I don't know how they can ban him for a lifetime, especially not having ever tested positive. I know they said they have very, very substantial evidence, even more evidence than what outweighs Ryan Braun. I was always one of the guys that kind of thought I would like to see him banned from the game for good. After thinking about it for a little bit this week, I don't know if it would be a good move for baseball to do that. I mean, I don't want to see anybody get banned because I think any way they do it, it's probably a negative PR move for him. And I think there's been a lot of pandering from A-Rod this week about he basically trying to get back to the Yankees lineup. And the Yankees, there's a whole saga with him trying to get back. I think the Yankees are screwing him a little bit, and A-Rod's whining a little bit about it. But I don't think it would be a good move for him to get suspended for the year right now. I'm sorry, suspended from the game altogether.
I definitely hate it. I mean, love him or hate him, A-Rod was one of the best players of all time, definitely one of the greatest shortstops of all time. To see him go out like this in kind of this Barry Bonds way, like this hush-hush, we don't want you anymore, you cheated, and therefore we don't need you anymore. It's just something doesn't sit well with me. I mean, he had his career. He should be able to go out on his own terms. And, I mean, he'd still be a moderately productive player even at this age. And even if he did cheat, he wasn't alone. Even if he did lie, he wasn't alone. And I just don't like this whole army of bad PR just surrounding A-Rod right now. And, I mean, it looks like there's a good chance he's going to be suspended for a while, if not permanently. And I definitely am not on board with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm conflicted. Like, I agree it's probably not good for baseball that he gets banned forever, but I always think back to Pete Rose. And Pete Rose got banned for something, in my opinion, which is way less harmful than what A-Rod has done to the sport. I mean, gambling, sure, he gambled on the games, which, while I agree, is a terrible thing to do, and I'm not discounting that. He should be fined to gamble or whatever. But I think cheating and tainting the game, I mean, sure, he's one of the greatest shortstops, but how much of that has been attributed to the steroids or other drugs of that sort? I don't know if I want to see a lifetime ban. I would more, and it's probably even a shadier thing to do, but I'd more like to see baseball just kind of force him into retirement. I don't want to see him play the game anymore. He lied. He cheated. For me, the big thing is lying. I've said it from the get-go. I don't really care about steroids that much, but it's the lying thing. I really didn't like Ryan Braun because he lied so much, and I'm really not a big fan of A-Rod because now he's going to lie even more from what I've heard based on rumors. Is he's not going to cut this deal with baseball like Braun did. He wants to fight it more. And I mean, if they have even more evidence than they did on Braun, and Braun didn't even fight his argument, I mean, dude, you've been caught. Give up. you're out. Like, it's over. And take your punishment. I mean, I don't think we're actually going to see him banned for life. I think Selig would love to see him banned for life, but I think you're going to end up seeing him at least this year, if not next year too. But we'll probably see at least this year, probably the bulk of next year, if not the full season next year.
I think if A-Rod tries to fight this and doesn't want to try and cut a deal, it works terribly in his favor. He needs to work with baseball with whatever he can do, because, I mean, what I'd like to see happen, I don't think it would ever happen, there's no chance of it actually happening, is for them to suspend him for the rest of the year and then next year, and then just let the Yankees void his contract and let him go try to have a fresh start somewhere else. That's what I think would like to happen, but I don't know if it will. Josh, you mentioned Pete Rose was talking a little bit about the Pete Rose controversy with him being banned from baseball for good. He was back in the news this week. He had a couple of comments regarding A-Rod and just the PEDs and the steroids in general. He said that anybody taking steroids, they should fess up and basically work with baseball, because baseball will figure it out and they will catch him. What do you guys think about this?
Yeah, go, Johnny. You can go.
Yeah, first of all, I just wanted to disagree. I think probably betting on baseball, if you're betting on your team, I think is a little bit more harmful to the sport than using performance-enhancing drugs, especially when there's at least probably a couple players on every single team doing them at the same time. But aside from that, Pete Rose going out of his way to be an ambassador to these players, I mean, it's definitely a good thing for him, and it's definitely a good thing for the sport. You can definitely tell that Pete Rose is trying to do everything in his powers, or anything that he's capable of doing, to try to get back on the good graces with baseball, and hopefully that ban from him will be expunged at some point. So it seems a little bit self-motivated, but it's still nice to see.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's only positive for everybody at this point. I don't think a lot of people listen to him, really. I mean, I think if you look at the Ryan Braun case, Ryan Braun doesn't really, other than PR, other than like his personal image within the game, Ryan Braun doesn't really lose much in any of this. He loses, I forgot how many million, I think it's like 30 million or something like that, but he's set to gain like 127 million next year when he comes back. I mean, he's not really losing much. He essentially gets an extended vacation, and everybody hates him now, which a lot of people didn't like him to begin with. So he's not, in my opinion, losing much. I don't think a lot of people are going to listen to Pete Rose, but I wish they would. I wish the game would get cleaned up. While on one hand, I don't think that steroids are that big of a deal. On the other, I mean, it would be nice if we could have a clean, kind of unaffected sport.
Yeah, Johnny, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I think you said it perfectly.
Had to do it.
Yeah, Pete Rose. I think it's a little bit of he's trying to be an ambassador. He's trying to say the right things. He's trying to get back into baseball so he can get in the Hall of Fame or coach or something like that. But Pete Rose, regardless of what you think about if he gambled on games or what if you like it, you love it, you hate it. I think he definitely deserves to be back in baseball. But I think this is a little bit on both. I think he's very upset with how the steroid things played out, and I think that he's trying to be Mr. Ambassador, like you said, Johnny, and doing all he can and saying every right thing that he can just to try and get back in.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see him back in. He wasn't the only one kind of talking out of this week. I mean, obviously this week, past few weeks, all been steroid news. There's been a lot of Ryan Braun haters. I know Zach Greinke came out pretty hard on him the other day. Not sure the exact quote. Sure one of you guys can grab it for me real quick. But he basically was hating real hard on Ryan Braun. Said he essentially will lie to get whatever he needs out of you. And I know there's been a few other athletes in and out of baseball who have kind of been very outspoken about Ryan Braun this week.
Even if Pete Rose never makes the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, at least he's in the WWE Hall of Fame.
He's in my Hall of Fame. I love Pete Rose. I wish he'd get back in.
Yeah, I like Pete Rose a lot too, and I wish he was back in baseball. But whether or not we ever see it, who knows? But I hope he gets back in one day.
I actually have some breaking news. Joel Sherman and Kevin Davidoff of the New York Post report that Major League Baseball is expected to suspend Alex Rodriguez through the end of the 2014 season due to his connection with Biogenesis Clinic. And that's the sources of the New York Post. So it seems pretty credible.
That's wow. Breaking news mid-show.
Breaking news.
Unprecedented.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. I would like to see a stronger ban. My problem with the bans of steroids right now is there's not enough incentive for players to not do it. if we're going back to Ryan Braun is going to profit more. He's going to have more jersey sales. Everything's only going to help him other than his image in this situation. And he's had a great career, apparently all based on steroids. And it's going to be the same thing for A-Rod. A-Rod's going to be banned for a season or two. He's going to come back. Either the Yankees or some other team is going to give him a monster contract again, even though he's like 70 years old at this point. And he's going to profit off of this. It's only helping these guys. So I do want to see stiffer punishments. If we're going to punish these people at all, it needs to be stiffer. If it's not going to be stiffer, just let it be. Something needs to change about it.
And cue the A-Rod Oprah interview in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that's exactly what's heading up next. Enough about the steroid talk. The other big news this week, also some no news at the same time. A lot of trade rumors, but not a lot happened this week. What do you guys? What's the biggest trade rumor? Who do you guys think is the biggest? Option out there for everybody. Where do you think some of the teams go?
It's hard to tell. I would have thought it would have been Cliff Lee. Because I think the Phillies are going to be huge sellers. I don't know if they'll deal him now because he's essentially turned into their ace. But I think the Phillies are definitely kind of the sellers. I think they're trying to get rid of Michael Young. You might see Chase Utley go. And a couple other guys. I think the Orioles are going to be spenders. They've been rumored to be in contact with Jake Peavy, also Michael Young. And there's just a lot going on right now. The Rangers are also talking about dealing Joe Nathan. Whether or not that happens or not, we'll see. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens this week with the trade deadline.
It seems like Alex Rios is the name I keep hearing on the market that's the biggest. So your White Sox, Josh, are looking to deal, and Alex Rios is definitely expendable for them since they're probably going to go through a rebuilding process for the next few years. The name that's you hear most with them is the Pirates, so it looks like they're just working out the details at this point.
Yeah, bring him.
Everyone's saying that it's going to be a really quiet trade deadline, but you never know what could happen. Someone could always be interested in a Cliff Lee or a player of that level that weren't before, and will listen to offers, and something can always get done. Team could just suddenly emerge as a buyer like the Dodgers did last year. And it just seems like it's a little bit more difficult to make trades happen these days, like especially this last 2 years, just because of the Mike Trout emergence, and prospects are just being slightly overvalued at this point with like the Machados and the Puigs and the Bryce Harpers. Everyone that wants to, kind of hold their horses and see if they can have the next big thing, so people aren't just looking to trade picks just for middle relievers, just to make a deal happen for the sake of it.
Yeah, the big ones that I hear, obviously I'm in Chicago, but there are a lot of White Sox players. Jake Peavy seems to be the big one, though. I've heard Atlanta, I've heard San Francisco. Who else were they talking about for a while there? I think the Orioles were even in on Jake Peavy for a second there. I think he'll end up in San Francisco. I think Rios is going to end up in Pittsburgh. Jesse Crane hurt himself again, so he probably won't be going at the trade deadline, but apparently he might go clearing at waivers. But I've also heard that there's a few teams who are willing to take a shot at him just based on, even if he's injured, they're willing because they need relief pitching that bad. But yeah, it is kind of a quiet one. Obviously anything could happen. I want my White Sox to clear house. I think it's time. It's not working. Nothing's getting better. They just can't catch a break, so it'd be nice to see that.
There was one move made pre-deadline here, and that was Rafael Soriano headed back to the Yankees. You guys got any opinions on that?
It's Alfonso Soriano.
Alfonso, man, come on.
I'm sorry, guys.
In all fairness, Rafael did play for the Yankees, too.
Yeah. Alfonso Soriano. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any opinions on that, or you just want to drop it?
No, I think it benefits the Yankees mainly. Immediately they need help, period, and he's hitting home runs. He's hit, I think, 14 home runs since the All-Star break, or I don't know, maybe it wasn't since the All-Star break, but recently in the past like 30 games or something like that, he's hit 14 home runs, and the Yankees as a team has hit like 8. So it's going to help them. It benefits them immediately. They got him on a good contract. The Cubs are going to pay the bulk of it. On paper, the Cubs get screwed because they're paying a massive contract to him. But he didn't want to be there. Theo Epstein really didn't want him to be there anymore. So, I think it works for him in the long run. They end up getting, I think, a single-A pitcher out of it. It definitely benefits the Yankees more, but I don't think it hurts the Cubs that much.
Yeah, his shelf life with the Cubs was done, and I think it was kind of a win-win for both teams. I said it on Twitter earlier this week. I think it was a win-win for both teams. The Cubs got rid of an aging veteran outfielder, and the Yankees can use all the help he gets, even if it's just a little bit. So, win-win for both teams. No negatives in my opinion.
Yeah, that Alfonso Soriano contract with that massive contract with the Cubs was a pretty established disappointment early on. And, it's been an albatross hanging over their head for a while, and they finally got to move it, even though they're still going to have to pay a lot for it. So for the Cubs' point of view, it was definitely just a cost-saving measure. He's been really hot lately, but again, he's 37, so I don't know how much stock I can put into like a month power spree or whatnot. He's a right-handed hitter, which is, Yankee Stadium is a really good park, but it definitely plays better for lefties. But, I don't know. It's kind of nice to see Alfonso Soriano back on the team. He was involved in that huge A-Rod trade, back in the early 2000s. I can't remember the year. And it's already hard to remember because of his massive disappointing contract. But Alfonso Soriano was one of the best hitters in all of baseball for quite a few years. I think he hit 40-40. Did he do that twice or did he just do it once? Either way, he was one of the best players in the game for a while. And, it's nice to see him. Maybe he'll finish his career as a Yankee, which would be really nice to see.
Yeah, I think this is a good, obviously good for the Yankees, but that's kind of about all I have to say about it. Another big trade this week was Matt Garza left the Cubs. Cubs kind of clearing house, sent to the Rangers. From what I heard, I did not watch the game, but from what I heard, he had a pretty decent first start for the Rangers. Again, I think this is more positive for the Rangers than it is the Cubs, but the Cubs are really looking to clear house and kind of start fresh. Theo kind of has his plan in mind, and these guys were not part of that plan.
Yeah, I couldn't have been more wrong about this last week. I didn't think it would work out for Texas, and who knows, it still might not. But he was really strong in his first outing with the Rangers. 7 innings, I think 1 unearned run, and I think he just scattered it was around 3 hits, I believe. But he was really, really good with his with his debut in Texas.
Yeah, I wouldn't get too hung up on being wrong yet, Ryan, just because it's only been 1 week and 1 start, and most of this trade involves minor league players. And I think looking back on it, and like hearing more about the prospects the Rangers gave up, I think it was a pretty good move for the Cubs. If you know you're not going to extend this guy, you might as well get all you can. And I really like Matt Garza as a player. He's coming off an injury and he's a little bit injury prone, but the Rangers desperately need a number 2 or a number 3 to pair along with Yu Darvish if they want to make a run. And Matt Garza, if healthy, in a year where he puts it all together, and this looks like that one of those years, he can be very effective and he can be a game changer for the team. So I like the Rangers rolling the dice on him. And he had a great start against the Yankees at home in the heat of the Texas ballpark. So it'll be interesting. Looking back, he's won his last 6 starts. So Matt Garza is hot right now, and he will look to help the Rangers do some damage in the postseason this year.
Yeah. Another team that kind of didn't really trade, but signed a big contract, Justin Pedroia, $100 million contract. What do you guys think?
Yeah, $110 million over 8 years. Pretty big contract.
Yeah, he's who they want to build their franchise around. Good for them. If this is your franchise guy, awesome. For me, I don't see it. He's a really great athlete. I don't think I would have fronted that kind of money for him. But I might be wrong in that statement too.
Yeah, Pedroia has kind of been the life of the franchise. He's become one of the biggest faces for the organization. Whether it was $100 million, who knows if he's worthy of it or not. But he's definitely, if there's anybody on that team that was worthy of a huge contract, it was probably him, because he's been very good and very consistent for the Red Sox over a lot of years now. And I think just his image alone and keeping him in Boston was probably worth the contract itself, because they'll make a lot of money off him, and he's still really good, and he's going to be good for a number of years yet. So
I like the deal for both sides, just because he's always been in Boston, And he, like Ryan was just saying, he's one of the franchise players on the team. Everyone respects him. $110 million, I mean, it's a lot of money, but you're locking up an elite position player, second base, that you won't have to worry about for a while. And it's kind of more of a reward for what he's done and what he's going to do in the next few years. Obviously, towards the end of that contract, it's gonna look bad. It's going to look a little bit worse, but it's not like a $30 million contract per year. It's more like, I think 8 divided by 110 is, oh man, this is way too early in the morning for me to do math. But it's around like $15 million a year.
It's a lot of money a year, yeah.
It's a lot of money a year, but it's not that much money a year in comparison to like the best players in baseball. And I was hearing a lot of teams were a lot of people were very mad that he accepted such a low contract, thought he could have held out for more in the postseason, and this kind of reduces the market for Robinson Cano. And I don't really care about those people. I don't really respect players trying to squeeze every single last dime out of a team. That will eventually just affect the team's ability to spend in the future. So if Robinson Cano gets $20 million less because Pedroia got $10 million less, I'm perfectly okay with it. Something that I'm probably not okay with, and neither should Braves fans be, was Tim Hudson's gruesome injury. I believe it was on Tuesday. Did you guys see it?
I tried not to.
I tried not to. I saw it by accident. Oh man, it was brutal.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing. It hurt me watching it, and I can't think of the gentleman's name who actually stepped on his leg, but he was
Eric Young Jr.
Yeah, he was so apologetic to him, and I mean, he was, as he was being carted off the field, still apologizing to him.
And people were killing it. People were killing him too. They're like, "Oh, he did it on purpose," and you can clearly tell there was no intent to injure. It's just one of those freak things where they both got to the bag at the same time, and unfortunately, it happens. It was really bad, and it's terrible for Atlanta because he's a leader on that team. He's a good clubhouse guy. Couldn't have happened at a worse. Well, I mean, they're going to run away with the division anyways, but couldn't have happened to a better guy. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think there was ever any doubt that there was an intent to injure. I mean, I feel bad for anybody out there trying to blame Eric Young on this because he just wasn't trying to injure the guy.
Yeah,
it looked like a pretty legit play, and I don't know why anyone would accuse Eric Young Jr. of trying to injure Tim Hudson, just because, I mean, it wasn't that important of a game. The teams, I mean, are rivals, but clearly we're not right now, and, I mean, there was just no good reason for him to do it. It looked like just a freak play, and it sucks for Tim Hudson because he's definitely going to be out for the year. I think he's already in his late 30s, almost 40. I believe he's 37, just like Soriano is. I could be wrong. So, I mean, taking a year off of his career at this point is really going to hinder his ability to come back strong and put together, get another contract, as well as just being good. I mean, how many pitchers are good at this age? Not that many. So, I mean, he's looking to be an exception at this point.
So, I didn't get the injury update. Is he out for this year or is he out for a year?
I think he's definitely out for this year, and I'm not sure if he's going to be healthy for the start of spring training, but that's yet to be seen.
Yeah, it definitely was bad, and I only wish him the best from here. But speaking of somebody who will be returning this season, it was announced this morning that Derek Jeter will be coming back today. How do you guys think this is going to help or benefit the Yankees?
Any time they can get a little bit more healthy, it's always gonna benefit them. And just having Jeter back from kind of, it gives the team some life. It's exciting. He's, like I've said it for weeks, he's their captain. He's kind of the life of the team. So having them back is gonna raise a little bit of morale, just that. But hopefully now he's going to be healthy. He's had a little bit more time to rehab, and hopefully he's good to go because having him in a Yankees pinstripe uniform, there's never a negative, never with Jeter.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with all that, except I'm just not too optimistic with the point that he's going to stay healthy just because he's gotten injured so many times result from this past injury, and the Yankees have just had horrible luck this year. They need Jeter from a morale standpoint, from a hitting standpoint, but I don't know. I just have a gut feeling that he's going to get injured again.
Yeah, he's definitely been struggling to stay healthy. I don't know with the way his injury's been, how he could not possibly, but I just don't see him staying healthy playing shortstop. It's hard for me to see and understand. I think he'll either get hurt or we're going to have to see him play DH or just move to a position. Obviously, DH would be the only one that would make sense for him, but where he could kind of fully I guess, use his talents. The Yankees could use any help at this point, though. I mean, anything's better than what they're having on the field right now.
The Yankees have been struggling for a while. There's been at the start of the second half of the season here, there's been a bunch of other teams, just individual players struggling. The Nationals have kind of fallen apart. I guess maybe not fallen apart in the sense that they've fallen apart.
They've fallen apart.
Yeah, they're still 8.5 back. They've made up a few games later in the week because of a couple walk-off home runs from both Zimmerman and Bryce Harper. But, I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on the Nationals? Josh, you and I think both picked them to have to go to the World Series. I don't know if Johnny gave us a prediction or not, but where are you guys feeling with the Nationals right now?
I don't think they even make the playoffs at this point. I don't see it. They're not playing well. It doesn't. Bryce Harper's great, and they have some moments of greatness with like walk-offs and whatnot. Strasburg's been doing pretty good, and I mean they have the elements, but for me it feels a lot like my White Sox do right now. Like as a White Sox fan, and I'm biased saying this, but the White Sox have talent on their team. They just can't get wins, and I feel the same way with the Nationals right now. Obviously, they have way more talent than even the White Sox do on their team. They just can't put it together for wins at this point.
Yeah, Washington they have pitching, they have hitting. The one thing they don't do is they don't play defense well. And when you don't play defense well, you give up a lot of runs. And I think they're near the bottom of the league in total defense. So, this year, I think they're done this year. It's kind of terrible for me to say that, but it's just the reality of the situation.
I don't know why I still kind of believe that they can make some noise if they turn it around, but it definitely needs to be quicker rather than anything else. And it definitely seems like the Nationals' woes, in addition to defense, has been their hitting. As a Dodger fan, I can relate to all this great pitching that they have, but not being able to produce for the pitcher. At least being a Dodger fan in years past, that's just the MO of the team, and it's really frustrating for the fans to watch when, you get like a Strasburg 8-inning performance with 12 strikeouts like he did the other day, and then not have the team score a run. So the problem definitely isn't Bryce Harper. Jason Worth has been decent. They just need a couple more hitters to build around these guys to give them a good 1 to 9 lineup, and that's what they don't have right now. And in the offseason, they're going to need to get at least one. They're going to need to add a big bat if they want to compete. And I think they'll be around for a while. So, hopefully this is they had a derailed year with a couple injuries, but I think they're still going to be a very popular pick next year.
Yeah, there's been a few people that have individually struggled. One, probably the most notable for myself and maybe a lot of other people, is Justin Verlander got blank again the other night, just had a terrible outing. I feel like this has been a long time coming, but is it time to start worrying about Verlander?
I'm probably not going to say what the average fan would expect me to say. I don't think it's much to worry about. He's having a terrible season. Anybody who would argue that Verlander's just had a few bad starts, they're foolish. He's playing terrible all season. Sure, I would say if anything, he's had a couple of okay starts at best. He shouldn't have been on the All-Star team this year, because we're going on All-Star game should be based on what you're doing this season, not your career.
If it means anything, you didn't play. So.
Exactly, but he is definitely having a bad season, but I don't think it's anything to worry about. He's Justin Verlander. If this continues the rest of the season, which I do think it will, but if we come back next season and Verlander plays the way he is now next season, then it's something to worry about. But he's having a bad season. People figured him out.
Maybe he's just a little bit fatigued. I'm sure he's one of the innings pitch limits leaders over the last few years, and that just takes a toll on your body and what you're able to produce. And additionally, I don't think there's anything wrong with Verlander's velocity, so I think there's a good chance he'll recover at some point, but it seems like he just needs some time off at this point, and obviously you can't in the middle of the season, so you'll be like trudging along the rest of the way, and I think there'll be more good times than bad times because he's still one of the best pitchers in the game regardless of a few struggles.
Yeah. Another guy who's been struggling really more earlier this week, right after the All-Star break, and I believe yesterday he had a pretty great play, but Manny Machado wasn't really his first half / last season self lately.
Yeah, he made that really great play in the All-Star game with snagging that ball down the third baseline, but I don't know. It's hard to tell with Machado. I think it's just one of those things where he's just in kind of a slump to start the second half. Hopefully he breaks out of it, and he will break out of it. He's a good young hitter. I don't think you can I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. I don't think you can expect him to keep hitting at the pace he was at. He's a young hitter. I think this is his second year in the league. Correct me if I'm wrong, but and I think he was due for a little bit of a letdown, and hopefully he breaks out of it, and I think he will break out of it. So I think it's just a momentary thing for him.
Well, I mean, it's only been 9 games, so I don't know if this even constitutes a slump yet, so I'm not really going to worry about that. If it's any consolation, he has 2 home runs in those 9 games, as opposed to 7 in the 96 before. So despite him slumping with a sub 200 batting average, I mean, he's still hitting for power in these 9 games, so I don't know much what we can say about it. As opposed to another player who many people thought would be due for some regression in the second half. Chris Davis hasn't been himself lately. What do you guys think about him?
I'm shocked. I definitely thought he would slow down, but not like this. I correct me if I'm wrong, but he hasn't hit a home run since the All-Star break, right?
No, it was the day before the All-Star, or the last game before the All-Star break was his last home run.
I mean, that's not regression. That's falling flat on his face. Like,
it's only been 9 games though.
But he was hitting a home run almost every game prior to the All-Star game, if not every
game. He has 37 home runs, and there's been like 90, and there's been almost 100 games so far.
But that last week going into the All-Star break, he was hitting like one every other day.
Yeah. Okay. He was ridiculously hot right before the All-Star break.
It's crazy. Not 9 games and he hasn't hit one. Like, not one in 9 games. Like, I don't know what the numbers are, but has he went the whole season with a 9-game no home run streak at this point?
No, he's hit at least
a home run in 9 games. I mean, yeah. I could be wrong because I'm not the stats guy that you guys are, but like, there's no way that he's went that long without hitting a home run. It's definitely a slump. I don't know if I
are you blaming the home run derby?
I was just gonna say I don't think that I can blame the home run derby, but I mean, it's kind of suspect. I don't know.
He's had 2 streaks of 8 games without home runs, so I guess 9 is the record now. He is batting .307 for the season, which I thought was ridiculously high to begin with when he was batting like .320 or .330, whatever he was batting for a while. He's not that kind of hitter. He's definitely more of a .250, .260, .270 hitter, I guess a .260 hitter that's going to hit for a lot of power. So he was obviously due for a lot of regression. I mean, he's still one of the best power hitters in the game, so I have no problems that he's going to get. I think he's still going to get to 50 home runs, no problem. But any talk of him getting to 61 is definitely going to hit the back burner at the moment with this power outage.
Yeah, kind of same thing for me, and just along the same lines that Johnny had. He was hitting at such just a phenomenal pace heading into the All-Star game. I don't think anybody could expect him to keep up what he was doing with the production he was putting out. I think the All-Star game probably came at a terrible time for him because he was hotter than anybody else in the league was. But yeah, I think he was due for a little bit of, like Johnny said, regression. So I think it's normal. I wouldn't worry too much if he goes on another couple weeks where he's not doing anything. Then I think you can start to panic on it. But I think that's it's pretty much normal now.
Does he stop Miguel Cabrera from getting a Triple Crown still?
No, I don't think so. I think Cabrera is just way too good of a hitter. If the only thing that stops Cabrera from the Triple Crown is maybe him getting injured, but I don't think. I think maybe home run wise, but I think even still now, I think Cabrera could catch him.
So you're predicting back-to-back Triple Crowns for Cabrera?
I don't think I want to predict back-to-back Triple Crowns because to win another Triple Crown, especially.
Well, you only got to predict one now because the first one's already happened.
Yeah, the first one's already happened. 2 is extremely hard to do, never been done before. So I don't think I can say that he'll win the Triple Crown, but I think he'll finish right up there.
Well, I'd love to see it happen. He's only 5 home runs back at the moment, and he has a substantial lead in batting average, and he's 2 RBIs ahead of Chris Davis at the moment. So it's definitely in play depending on how long this streak happens. But 5 home runs is a significant advantage, and if Chris Davis stays healthy, he's definitely going to add to that total, and Miggy's going to need quite a big power surge to make up those 5 home runs. So I don't see it happening unless Chris Davis gets injured because I'm really not reading that much into a 9-game slump. Even if he slumps for another week, I'm not worried about Chris Davis hitting home runs for the rest of the year. Like I said, the batting average is definitely going to come down significantly, but Chris Davis is still going to mash.
I haven't looked at the Orioles schedule, but I know the Tigers have a lot of games left against both the White Sox and the Yankees. Or not, I'm sorry, not the Yankees, but the White Sox and the Royals. So I think that the schedule definitely benefits Miguel Cabrera more in who they play. But speaking of somebody that's been a team that's been streaking and been really good as of late, the Dodgers are currently sitting in first place, a game and a half above the Arizona Diamondbacks. Where are you guys at with this?
I'll let you start, Johnny.
Started from the bottom, now the whole team is here. It's really weird to see the Dodgers have such great hitting for the first time in a really, really long time. Like we were talking about the Nationals, how we've seen their power outage and their hitting struggles this year, and that's basically been the Dodgers' MO for years and years. So Kemp's injured, Puig was struggling for a little bit, yet they're still managing to just hit their way and hit just every day, like 8 runs, 12 runs, 5 runs, whatever it is. It just seems like a big increase over years past. They had 2 really dramatic wins this week. I don't know if you guys watched the games against Toronto, but it was just a phenomenal game. It just seemed everything was bouncing the Dodgers' way. They've definitely gotten very lucky with that Colby Rasmus error to blow the save. I don't know if it was ruled an error or not, but they've had things fall their way, but they're gladly going to take it. And I mean, they definitely look like they're the team to beat in the NL West at the moment, and they're not even 100% healthy yet.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing phenomenal. Whether it's luck or not, I mean, they're winning games, and it seems that they're having fun doing it, which to me, I think that's a big part. I think the teams that you see that have the most fun are usually winners. I mean, you look at the Giants and whatnot, and they seem to have a lot of fun. And I mean, they're having fun. Puig did slump for a little bit there, but I mean, he's still playing phenomenally. I mean, a slump from what he was at is still better than most. I mean, they're playing good ball right now. I would say they're the team to beat in the NL West, if not the National League at this point.
Yeah, Johnny, you said Matt Kemp was hurt. I don't think that matters too much anymore because I think he should probably be gone for the rest of the year. But I definitely think Hanley Ramirez resurgence has been a big part of this streak that the Dodgers are on. Puig has kind of come back to earth a little bit, just a tad. But I definitely think they're getting everything that they need to get. I think it's a little bit of they're playing really well, and this division just kind of straightening out a little bit. I don't think that Arizona was going to keep it up, and who knows, you might see another streak from them and then come back to first place. But I think it's a little bit of the Dodgers on a really big hot streak, and then the division kind of coming back to normal.
Yeah, it's nice to see. Good for them. I mean, I think it only goes up from here, and yeah, that's only positive for the Dodgers. Good for them. Hope they keep it up. I like to see them win. I mean, I don't have anything against the Dodgers. Good for them.
Not.
Well, now that Johnny says that, I hate the Dodgers. Just kidding.
Well, that's our show for the week. Just a reminder that you guys can find us on Twitter or Facebook by searching Wood with Handles.
Do us a favor wherever you're at. Like us, share this. I mean, the littlest things, and they all take one click. It just takes one click to share on Facebook or on Twitter or to like something. Just do it. It really, really helps us out.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Johnny.
Thanks for listening, everybody.